welcome to Fast Break Breakfast NBA Podcast. My name is Keith Parrish. I am here once again with my buddy through the miracle of a computer phone. I'm here with Chuck Anderson.
Hey now.
No John Burr, once again.
But he is alive.
I mean, you say that. What proof of life have you been provided?
You're right. A text message could have been created by a kidnapper.
Anybody can text.
There's all sorts of reasons to believe that John is actually off planet.
Yeah.
Perhaps in a distant galaxy, coming up with a way to extract resources from a planet. I don't know.
Have you ever seen John Burr and Elon Musk in the same place?
Ooh. It's true. The more Elon's on Twitter, the less John Burr's on Twitter. So
I'm almost certain there's got to be some kind of AI program that you could just feed all of John's texts into, and then just be like, just you can reply forever.
Yeah, it's true.
Live on forever with the reply bot. By the way, I would invest in one of those.
I would too. The reply bot would just like constantly drop the names of movies no one's ever heard of, and like reference music that only 1% of the world's population.
Chuck, I watched the Gene Hackman Al Pacino vehicle Scarecrow.
Okay.
Over Thanksgiving break. It's a real movie. It is bleak. I think every movie made in the 70s is bleak. That was the thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was there was still the threat of nuclear annihilation.
Yeah.
Which we've forgotten about, but it's still real and almost as realistic as it would have been happening in the 70s.
So back in the 70s, there was no Bob Iger to be like, this movie's too bleak. I make all the movies. Here, just make it happy. Yeah, because I don't know how they did it. Because right now we have existential dread over the planet. Some issues.
I mean, there's a lot of similarities between now and the 70s. There's weird.
How could you possibly trust your government?
Fuel crisis. There's inflation. There's Russia acting Russian. There's a lot going on.
Every spoiler, every 70s spy movie basically ends with the protagonist getting shot at the end. Yeah. Like no one ever gets away. The big government wins, and then there's all these character pieces where it's like man just worries about his life. Last scene of the movie, abandons his wife at a diner. That's it. Last scene of the movie, lobotomized. Last scene of the movie, to the woods. Yeah. So that's I'm just curious. I guess the people from the 70s, they turned out okay, and the world, the cycle kept turning. And maybe someone will be allowed to make where are the sad movies? All the movies now, it's just CGI and ridiculousness. Maybe they're being made. Are they on YouTube?
Maybe, and we're just not seeing them. Yeah, it's possible.
I gotta curate my channels better.
Hurt themselves with their art.
It's true. Scarecrow I had downloaded to my iPad for traveling for Thanksgiving. Unfortunately, I had nothing downloaded for the kids. It was I had 2001 A Space Odyssey and a very inappropriate film made for adults, but it was fine. So did you travel for Thanksgiving, Chuck? What you end up doing?
So I went down to Muscle Shoals, Alabama.
Oh, all right.
Just in a little quick day and a half trip, 2 days. We were down there. Didn't go to Florida. I was supposed to go to Florida, but life. So I didn't. Yeah. But yeah, I had a good trip. Thanksgiving, since I was traveling that day, and we didn't cook dinner. I ate at a hibachi buffet for Thanksgiving dinner.
Hibachi.
So hibachi, Chuck, was in full effect. I want
to go to hibachi so bad. It
was an experience.
It's been years for me.
I was there, and it felt like people were having their second meal after Thanksgiving dinner. It was me, my girlfriend, and then two large American families. And by large, I mean in size and number.
Oh, yes.
And then a bunch.
You can shorten that to just American families, but
yes, as you're correct. And then there were some. It felt like Central and South American, migrants, maybe.
Yeah.
People who are here doing the Lord's work. And it was us, and it was great. And I had some lo mein noodles that tasted like MSG, and a bunch of questionable sushi that probably could have ruined my entire life, but didn't.
So what made it hibachi? I mean, did you use any?
They had the hibachi.
They had the grill there. You could get the stuff. Okay.
They had the Mongolian grill there where he would hibachi it up.
Yeah.
I did get it, but it was over salted and way too much soy, and it just didn't taste good. So I had a couple bites and let that sit. But yeah, that was toured some stuff, did some tours in Muscle Shoals, which is got great music history and
record studio. Yeah.
A couple cool record studios, Fame Studios, and the Muscle Shoals Sound Studio.
So I also traveled to a city famous for music. I flew to Detroit with the family.
Hey now.
So I didn't have things prepared on my iPad for the kids, but it turns out we flew Delta. We normally fly Southwest. Most people, if you live in a Southwest hub, you're flying Southwest a lot. I forgot that other planes can be nicer than Southwest planes.
Right.
Like the Delta plane was pretty nice. It had like each seat had its own screen, a bunch of games and movies. So I was saved from the not downloading things. But then on this beautiful plane, this beautiful Delta flight 1544, my son vomited all over it. Just vomited constantly everywhere.
In the bag?
So no. We're on this plane, and by the way, we're some of the only people masked on the plane, because we love masks. Basically, since I learned about germs, I'm never giving my mask up again. You think I'm ever going into the masks are no longer required at the middle school I do part-time work for? They're like, you don't have to wear a mask anymore. I'm like, didn't you guys shut down for flu recently? Like, well, yeah, about half the 7th grade is out currently. Like, I'm going to wear my mask. Thank you. But anyways, we're some of the only people masked on this plane. And then when we start spewing vomit everywhere, I become very self-conscious. Like, everyone, do they think that we all knowingly brought a disease? We did not, bro. We thought we were healthy. Like we thought we were just perfect health. Didn't want to pick up any flu germs. But anyway, no, the son, he's like playing tic-tac-toe on this computer screen on the Delta thing. And then he starts drinking some water, and then he starts like kind of like nodding forward. And I'm like, hey man, you feel all right? He's like, my stomach doesn't feel good.
Oh.
I'm like, oh. Well, he's like, how are you? And then he's like, I don't feel all right. And then I'm like, oh no, he's gonna vomit. And I know there's a vomit bag somewhere. Like, I'm aware planes have these barf bags, but like
air sickness bags.
I couldn't remember quite where it was. I knew it should be in the pocket.
Should be in the pocket.
I'm like, where is it? And I stick my hand in my pocket. I don't feel anything. I'm like, there's nothing here. And then it just starts going. And so I have large hands. So I tried to cupped my large hands, and they're immediately filled, but that does not come close to stopping the flow. There was so much, and it was like all over the side. He's a window seat because he's a child, wants to see out the window. Although technically he did not want to see out the window. He wanted to see the tic-tac-toe game on the back of the seat headrest in front of him. But so yeah, he just starts throwing up. The wife and daughter are behind us. We're 2 and 2. They're behind us, and I'm like, hey, Abe's throwing up, and I'm like, can you get a bag? And they finally hand me a bag, and I'm still holding a full handful. I'm gonna say a solid pint, like 16 ounces. But it's like, it's covered him. He's just totally covered. We finally work out the bag situation. I dumped what I'm holding in the bag, get him. It took a while for the person to my right on the aisle seat to understand vomit was going on. Like, she was just watching Schitt's Creek, she was just, and then so, conveniently for her, she knew the person across the aisle, and there was an empty seat over there. So she moved over there. I start cleaning up. Luckily also, since it was Delta and it cost extra to check your bags, we didn't check anything. So it was very fortunate. We had all of our clothes. Like, I mean, honestly, I guess this is a lesson. I should have had a change of clothes on hand anyway, but I would not have had a change of clothes on hand because.
Is this his first flight?
No.
So he's been nothing like this before.
No, he's flown a lot.
History. Okay.
And so, I mean, at least a lot in my mind. He's flown like 4 times or something.
Right.
And we're concerned also because the wife, who was on the show last week, she, when she gets on the plane, she says, I don't feel great. I feel kind of nauseous. I'm like, oh, that's not great.
Oh, geez.
And then, 10 minutes later, the boy starts puking everywhere. So I'm like, oh, so we have some kind of stomach thing. That's not awesome. She takes him to the bathroom. We put him, we get a change of clothes workout. Luckily, the flight attendants were pretty cool. They, I guess they've seen this before.
Yeah.
They brought me all kind of Lysol wipes. So I'm just wiping down this plane. I'm like getting down. I'm not, it might have been better off once I was done with it. Like I was cleaning the stuff out from it wasn't ours, in between the seats. And so we wipe it down. But the problem is like the kid is still sick. Like the kid, the whole plane is still being sick. He finally comes back. They've given us a giant trash bag. And like, I'm holding the giant trash bag and dude keeps throwing up. Little Chase Buddy Buncher keeps throwing up. And so we finally, when the plane lands, I'm not sure what you would have done. I decide I'm gonna try to get off the plane first.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's right or wrong. Everyone wants to be off the plane. But in my mind,
I got a sick kid.
Well, he's a sick kid and he's still actively throwing up. It seems like most people would be like, let's get this guy off the plane. Like, let's get this guy out of here. I made it pretty far. Of course, business class could have cared less.
No interest.
No interest.
At what point in the flight, how long during, as a percentage, did this vomiting occur? So closer to the end?
No. Let's say the flight was, I don't actually remember the flight length. Nashville to Detroit was like 90 minutes or something in that.
Right.
And I would say 30 minutes in, he threw up. And so then
there's a full solid hour.
There was a solid 5. I mean, the time flew. I'll be real. It went from a boring flight
when you're panicking.
Yeah. No, there was a solid 8 minutes of just triage situation type. Right. All right, we're trying to clean up. What do we do? Can we change them out of stuff? And then there was a solid 40 minutes of me just wiping down seats. Or maybe less than that. Maybe 25 while he's in the toilet with my wife. The girl, the 5-year-old, just sitting by herself watching Encanto. You doing good? I'm doing good. Okay. But then so then we land. We get off the plane. We sit in the bathroom for a while at the airport. Now we're stuck with, what do we do now? Because we're meeting family for Thanksgiving. I don't want to bring a stomach bug to all the other family. I'm meeting my brothers and my brother's family, my sister's family, my elderly parents are there. And we're like, should we fly home? Because we could have flown back home. We landed at 6 p.m. We could have flown back to Nashville at 11 p.m. that Wednesday, and we were stuck. I don't know what the prudent decision was. Flying home seemed like the sick kid who looks like no color in his face whatsoever.
Yeah.
He's like, when do we go to Uncle Alan's house? Brother, I don't know if we're going.
Were you guys staying at a hotel?
No, we were staying with our family.
There?
Yeah, we were staying in the house. And he was like, no, I don't want to go home. Well, I'm like, well, I understand that. No one wants to go home. But I'm like, the wife is sick. The boy is sick, I think. I'm going to be sick. Probably the girl's going to be sick. Do we just light $1,400 on fire or whatever? And be like, hey man, Thanksgiving, we flew to Detroit, threw up, flew
Turn
home.
Around.
Get back on.
It's a tough decision.
Yeah. So we talked to our family and they're like, whatever, you're going to stay in our basement. So just you can isolate for a while. So we decided to do that under the we were optimistic that no one else would get super sick. And hopefully we could isolate for 24 hours. So we did. We basically sat in a basement for about 24 hours and then emerged like Lazarus from the tomb on Thanksgiving Day. And everything else was fine. So I guess it was a good Thanksgiving other than the excitement of
framing it as excitement. I like that. You were, I mean, you were activated, you were excited. Your sympathetic nervous system was probably in fight or flight mode. So yeah, I guess, yeah.
I mean, it wasn't.
Sounds horrific to me. I would use the word horrific, awful.
It was a little bit rough.
rough. Yeah.
It wasn't great. Also, so I kept my mask on for a while I was holding the vomiting boy. But then eventually, I think for just one, communication reasons with the wife who was sitting a seat behind, I took the mask off. Also, just for the optics, I thought I gave in. I'm like, what's the point of me having a mask while I'm holding this son who's just spewing germs everywhere?
Everybody.
Like if everyone else isn't, I feel like I have to join my fellow man and be like, listen, we're all in the germs right now.
So I would assume he was fine. It was just like a little maybe motion sickness.
It's like, no, I don't know. I think because the wife felt ill, that it was some kind of stomach thing, but none of us else got it. So I don't know.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you made it through that because it sounds harrowing.
We emerged unscathed. I even washed all my clothes right when I got there. Cause I mean, the most, I was worried about my kid, but also I was thinking about how much I didn't want to have it, the whole time.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not touching anything. I'm washing my hands constantly. I'm like, hey, hey, cousin, can you pour me coffee? Cause I don't want to touch anything. Just pour me the coffee. Just set it over here. I'm going to be good. Anyways, that was kind of long. Breakfasts.
Yeah, let's talk about food now.
What food? I'll tell man, I'll transition. I'll tell you what I've been doing, Chuck. Since the upchuck happened, I've had soup for now 6 straight days.
That's what's up.
Unrelated. I had no, so my family tradition is after they make the turkey on Thanksgiving, they then make a hot turkey water. Where they make a turkey and celery soup. It's essentially hot water with a smack of turkey. And
so you take
celery.
The carcass, you make a broth with the carcass, you strain it out, and then you've got turkey broth.
Yeah, well, and then you put it over rice and you put salt and pepper on it. Honestly, it's a salt and pepper delivery system, which frankly all food is.
Is there little chunks of turkey?
Little bits of turkey, yeah.
Love that.
Some tiny. It was kind of tasty, and then also, I love it. So I had that Thanksgiving night, and then the next day. Also, it turns out my parents brought Middle Tennessee staple Demas's chicken soup.
Whoa!
Because it turns out my parents have discovered a value. You can buy 4 quarts of Demas's soup for $19.
That's a lot of soup.
That's a pretty solid rate.
That's a solid rate.
Apparently it's like $8 a quart, but if you buy like 3, the 4th is free. Or my math is off. But it was something. They said it was $19.99 for a gallon. So they brought a bunch of this restaurant soup. So I'm like, well, I'll try this too. It also was kind of a hot turkey. It was more hot chicken water situation.
People, you can, I think Demas's is my barometer for if somebody's been here or knows locals, because everyone else, if you come here, you call it Demos because that's there's just that's the way it's spelled.
That's how it's spelled. Yeah.
But everyone who lives here knows it's Demas's.
So it's a regional Italian restaurant that used to be in downtown Nashville. What else would you call it? Is it? I mean, it's
Italian.
Well, they serve pastas. Pasta's their main thing.
Yeah, I guess.
Demas is it Greek? I mean,
could be. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
But the food. Hey, their ranch slaps. I think it's homemade ranch. And it's the only time I would go there and get a salad and be happy because
it's the first place I ever had an anchovy.
Hey, now. I love that.
It was like growing up, it was the fancy after church place. Like, if you go to the after church place, we went to church in downtown Nashville. Demas's was the fancy after church place.
Yeah, that sounds,
But anyway, so because of that and because of the great rate on the soup, my parents brought soup. Then we get home. My wife actually cooked a soup on Monday night. Hers, amazing. The difference between hers and what the previous soups were very stark. But also, incredible. I was like, you realize I've had soup 4 straight days. And she's like, you know what? I hadn't thought of that.
But after Thanksgiving, that's a good, like, clear liquid diet. That
I am
out.
on the liquid diet.
Yeah.
And there's so much of it. I'm still eating leftovers. I believe today will be my 6th. Wait, we got Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Yeah, 2. This is my 6th straight day of soup. Not really a breakfast, but it'll probably be the first thing I eat today. What's your breakfast, Chuck?
So my breakfast sucked. I'm not going to talk about it today, but I will talk about my breakfast in Florence, Alabama, the day after Thanksgiving. I went to Big Bad Breakfast.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. You know it's a good place because on the back of BBB, Triple B, Big Baller Breakfast, on the back of all of the shirts of the employees there, it just said, Lard have mercy, but Lard. So I was just
that got me good.
I had a Jack Benny, which is an eggs Benedict on a basically like a latke, like a potato pancake.
Yeah.
It was incredible, but it was like square. It was like a very incredible hash brown. And as I was sitting there, and I had some fat bacon to go along with it. But as I'm sitting there eating, I noticed these biscuits that are coming out of the kitchen, and they look incredible. And then I walk to the bathroom, and I see this little old lady making the biscuits.
Yeah.
And I said, oh man, we got to get some biscuits. So I had the waitress bring me biscuit. We were going to split a biscuit, me and my girlfriend. The waitress brought two biscuits out.
Split a biscuit?
They're significant biscuits. They weren't tiny biscuits.
Yeah.
So the waitress brings 2 biscuits out, puts it next to it, and looks at my girlfriend and goes, you don't want to share these, sis. And just walked away. And it was an incredible, like, you could taste the lard. You could taste the goodness. It was a tremendous breakfast. The eggs Benedicts were perfect. The poached eggs were incredible. The hollandaise was not bland. Sometimes you get a hollandaise that just looks like, well, to spoil, it looks like what fell out of Cedi Osman's face. This actually had like some texture and it was flavorful. I loved it. So shout out Big Bad Breakfast in downtown Florence,
Alabama. That sounds amazing. And also, man, you love shortening Benedict to Benny.
That was my thing. We called LeBron eggs Benedict.
Well, we now gotta, I know. So this is not my breakfast in bed apology, but like, I've been shortening Benedict Matherin to Ben Matherin a few times because it's hard when you get to that
Oh man.
When your mouth comes to a complete stop with those 2 consonants side by side, the C and the T, to then restart another consonant, Matherin, it takes a lot of work with your mouth. So like everyone shortens it Ben Matherin. He said, I don't want to be called Ben Matherin. So we're supposed to say Benedict Matherin. What if has he considered Benny Matherin? Because Benny Matherin, very easy to say, flows off the tongue.
Bensky.
That's a tremendous breakfast. Thank you for bringing that. So those were our breakfasts. After our breakfasts, we go to our breakfast in bed apologies. This might be a new record. We're 24 minutes in. This is the chance for us to make right what we might have gotten wrong on a previous episode. It's also the first time a lot of times we talk about the NBA, which the show is about. So I'll build on that. All right, sure. I apologize to Benedict Matherin for shortening his name to Ben. I also apologize to some of his Pacers teammates who I was complaining are getting minutes over him. I was like, Aaron Nesmith is just flat bad. And no matter what, they still start him. The Pacers got a nice little thing going. They got a nice little stew going. But Nesmith had a great game on Monday night. Also, Andrew Nembhard, who I've gotten my jokes off.
Big shot, Nem.
I've gotten my jokes off about him for being a super old rookie and also for some reason playing over Matherin. I mean, not playing over, but like would start instead of Matherin. Like they would never start Benny Matherin. And Nembhard is the hero. Walk-off, buzzer beater. Nembhard and Nesmith combined to make 8 of 14 3-pointers. Both of them are 4 from 7 from deep. And the Pacers get an incredible victory over the Lakers.
I was going to make a joke that he goes Nembhard in the paint, but he only shoots 3s. So
yeah,
that didn't work.
He goes hard
Nembhard
from deep.
Yeah.
I also, I mean, if we're handing out apologies, I also feel bad. This is nothing I did. I feel bad for power listener Damon Rangula, who had prepared a whole what a great victory for the Lakers, kicking off the most difficult month for any NBA team. What a way to build momentum. Coming off these playing the Spurs 3 times in 8 days. Now everything's trending up for the Lakers. Buy your Lakers stock now. The man just fired that off into the ether before the game was over.
Oh,
a lot to live with. Heartbreaking. Yeah, the Lakers play 12 road games in December.
Jeez.
12 road games in December. So I'm sorry for I guess insulting Pacers players for not saying Benedict's full name. Also, I can apologize for a mistake I made. Last week, I said the word striation when I meant stratification.
I love that.
I do like it.
Muscles, muscle tissue is striated.
Yeah.
And stratified means different layers, different levels.
Right. Yeah. So the Western Conference standings, yes, they've stratified where you're seeing some separation. They are not weird grooves and ridges seen in geology or in tight Ripley muscles.
Yeah.
So that's my fault. Chuck, anything you would like to apologize for?
So last week, towards the end of the show, I was talking about Bam. It was difficult. I said that I don't know if he can be an elite defender and also carry the load offensively. Bam then turned around and has basically his best game ever as a Heat player and scores 70 points in 2 games. But here's where I was wrong, because as I'm looking up Bam's, year to see exactly where he's at, he isn't playing really good defense this year. His defensive numbers are kind of middling compared to his previous seasons. His defensive box plus minus is in the negative this year.
Don't worry about those defensive box plus minuses, Chuck.
But I mean,
don't lose any sleep over that stuff.
All right. Well, that makes me feel. But I mean, the eye test is he's defending guards and he's shutting them down when it happens. When he's locked onto somebody, they don't play good basketball. That's how the eye test.
I like all kinds of those all-in-one metrics. I like advanced stats, but there's an advanced stat out there right now that says Dillon Brooks is the 14th best player in the NBA, and I love that stat. Okay, that stat is perfect, and I love it. But also, don't lose any sleep over any of them.
No. But yeah. Anyway, so. Breakout Bam, it happened.
So you would not trade him for Kevin Durant, because I believe last week when things were looking down for the Heat, you were like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's trade him. Let's sacrifice the sustained run of the next 6 years for maybe a little short-term burst.
A little two-year window. I mean, I'm not saying no right now either, because
Durant had like 45 last night, I think.
Yeah.
He's quite good.
But I'm interested to see the way the Heat look when Jimmy comes back. He's missed a bucket of games, no pun intended, and he's, I don't know if Bam's ascendance is going to really gel well when Jimmy comes back and he needs the ball and they kind of fill the same role. Bam's been thriving where it's just him and 4 shooters, and when you put Jimmy on the floor with him, it's just him and 3 shooters. So, or 2 guys who really aren't 3-point threats, and then Bam and Jimmy, and then the rest of the team. So yeah, I'm interested to see what happens when Jimmy comes back, and see what happens with Bam. I believe in his offensive skill set now after the last 2 games, but watch, he'll score like 4 points a game the next month.
Yeah, that's how the pendulum swings. Anyways, those were our breakfast in bed apologies. Before we get to our steak and eggs best thing, a word from our sponsor. Guarantee the gift of Grizz this holiday season with 6-game holiday packs. Starting at just $26 per game, Grizzlies holiday packs feature the best matchups and giveaways, including the Grizzlies taking on the Warriors, Lakers, Mavs, and more. So skip them all, avoid the crowds, and warm up this season with the Grizzlies 6-game holiday packs. Call 901-888-HOOP or shop online at grizzlies.com. All right, steak and eggs best thing. What's the best thing you saw in the last week. Chuck, what is your steak and eggs?
I'm interested in John Morant, who's become a sort of free throw doula in the NBA. He's helping players at the free throw line. Unfortunately, it's not the Grizzlies players he's helping because the Grizzlies have the worst free throw percentage in the NBA, but he is helping Malik Monk, Jason Tatum by whispering you're going to miss free throws in clutch moments. And then Ja, in a kind of ultimate like justice moment, when he tells Malik Monk you're going to miss, Malik hits the both, and then Ja has to go hit free throws at the other end and missed both of them to kind of.
So Ja had the chance down 3, got fouled on a three-pointer. I still maintain it was a bad call. The last 2-minute report says it was the correct call. It's not basketball. If you shoot a jumper and land, you're good. Like, unless you get like trucked, like if you shoot, no one touches your hands, you land, you don't land on anyone, and then after you land, there's like a little tummy touch, like a little jersey's kind of rubbed a little bit, and that's not a foul. That's not a basketball foul. Anyways, the last 2-minute report did say there were numerous errors that harmed the Grizzlies. It did say that call was correct. But yeah, Ja missed the free throw. Yeah, I don't like Ja missing these free throws. He's gotten the as you say, he's got it reversed. Trying to affect other players where he's trying to affect the free throw percentage shots of incredible free throw shooters.
Right.
While he himself is not one.
Right.
I also feel like
it is like the LeBron Gilbert Arenas thing. Like, I get it. Like, I get that. Like, you want to get into people's heads. That's part of competition. Yep. But I think it's obviously not working. And maybe we should try it with Steven Adams because he apparently somehow has a negative free throw percentage.
Yeah, no one's ever had a negative one before, but his is negative right now.
He is
no one's ever seen
negative.
That. He made 4 out of 9 free throws on Sunday, which raised his free throw percentage to 26.7%. He's on pace for the worst season ever from the foul line.
Incredible.
No, also the really painful thing is after like 10 games, maybe it was like 8 games, early in the season, Ja Morant was making 86% of his free throws and attempting 11 per game. And I was like, he's turned into Jimmy Butler from the line. Yeah. This is a dream come true for Grizzlies fans. And it went away so fast. And I don't know, like there should be like a German word for an immediate regression to the mean. Cause it was like, it was not like, oh, he's going to shoot 70% over or 75% over the next 20 games. And it's going to level. No. It was, he went 5 for 10 and 9 for 15 in back-to-back games. And you're like, well, that was that.
There it is.
There it is. Back to the normal career averages. Here's my best thing, Chuck. It was a little bit rocky picking up the Sixers as my second or tertiary favorite team. My extra side piece to the Nuggets and Grizzlies. But it's really blossomed recently. And all it took was James Harden never playing, which obviously on the surface, that makes a lot of sense. You're like, okay, you don't like that guy anyway. Now he's not playing. Sure, it's going to be more fun. Then Joel Embiid goes out for some games. Then the team has a little nice residency in Orlando, picking up some stats and some wins. And now there are two divergent stories here. My enjoyment, one, we got Milton and Melton. Milton and Melton just doing amazing things. And then on the other side, we have your guy, PJ Tucker, who is on a historical run. And I might throw that term around willy-nilly. No one has literally done what PJ Tucker is doing right now. Let's start with the Melton love. Okay. You guys know I've always been obsessed with DeAnthony Melton. He went 5 straight games with picking up 3 or more steals. I talked about it last week. All the weird stats, man. The guy averaging 4 steals, 4 assists, and 4 rebounds per game. Like every game, he's just doing this stuff. Over the last 6 games, Melton is averaging 16 points per game. He's making 3.2 threes per game, averaging 3.5 steals in these games. And they're picking up wins despite Joel Embiid sitting. Joel Embiid finally comes back, plays the last game, picks up a game winner over the Hawks. But Shake Milton, much bigger story. I mean, Melton is for us diehards. Milton, this should have entered the broad mainstream.
A revelation.
These are massive numbers. In the last 6 games, Shake Milton is averaging 23.2 points per game. He's shooting 57% from the field, 54% from 3, and he's making 96% of his free throws, averaging 6.5 assists, 6.5 rebounds, 23 points per game. This guy is on basically the cheapest contract in the NBA for like a not second rounder. I mean, he was a second rounder. He's a second rounder of the Mavericks. I mean, seems like they could use him. But the Shake Milton is on a 3-year, $5 million contract, not $5 million per year. Like, that's robbery. That's wage theft. Daryl Morey needs to give it, like James Harden needs to take another pay cut and hand it to Shake Milton. Shake Milton's been a revelation. PJ Tucker should give his money to Shake Milton, because PJ Tucker, here's what he's doing right now. PJ Tucker, in the last 8 games, has played 236 minutes. Do you know how many points he scored?
0.0.
No, you're wrong. He scored 3, Chuck. He scored one of them. He's made 1 field goal in his last 8 games. He's shooting 7%. His per 36 scoring average is 0.5. 0.5 of a point per 36 minutes in his last 8 games. He's gone scoreless in 7 of these 8 games. No one has ever done that before.
He is fun to watch on defense. He is picking up, I watched him against the Nets. He looked good defensively. But yeah, all of that stuff that was happening last year in Miami, the cool offensive repertoire that PJ Tucker had in his bag, he's now been relegated to the corner, and he's hitting them at a decent rate, but
he's not even shooting them.
But he's not shooting them. When he shoots
the Sixers
them,
struggle to score, and they're like, "Well, this one guy doesn't shoot the basketball at all."
Yeah,
it's kind of weird. This is not a traditional record, but the previous record for fewest points in an 8-game span with a minimum of 200 minutes played, Charles Jones had 9 points. That was our previous low. 9 points over an 8-game span. A backup center from the 90s.
You talked about
PJ Tucker has scored 3 points in 8 games. How many points? I hate when people do this, but I think most of our listeners, if they were given 240 minutes of playing time in an NBA game, could score 3 points.
Yeah.
I would just fall down over and over and over and eventually make my way to the free throw line.
I get it.
Yeah.
Same here. You were talking about PJ giving some of his money to Shake Milton. He should give it to Eric Spoelstra, because he got that bag of being made to look incredible with a guy who knows what to do with his ingredients. Apparently, Doc Rivers has no clue how to use PJ Tucker in an offensive way. And it sucks, because he was so fun last year. They were doing stuff with him that they were doing with Bam. They were using him in that Bam role when Bam was kind of was injured for a long stretch last year, and now he's just nothing. They got nothing for him. So it's maybe good that he got paid the way he did in that contract. And I don't know, can you call it a good contract?
I mean, I think when they gave him that contract, the idea was that you're overpaying a little for what he's going to give you this season. This will probably be the best season of the contract, but I'm not sure.
And like he does bring things. He brings toughness. He brings kind of like this, enforcer kind of mentality and presence that I think you need if you're going to contend, especially in the playoffs. But like, yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
we'll see.
I'm also not saying he's a bad fit on the team, because you're right. They needed this. They needed the guys, the quote unquote, the guys with the dog in them. And PJ Tucker absolutely has that. And he is second on the team in on-off net rating swing, only behind Shake Milton. Their offense, get this, their offense is 10 points better per 100 possessions when he plays.
Incredible.
So, I mean, keep doing what you're doing. Also, whoever has you in our negative fantasy league, congratulations.
You're going to win.
Yes, if he was missing shots, he'd be scoring more points. But the fact that he's never going to threaten to give you good stats, what an ace in the hole for the negative fantasy league. PJ Tucker, keep it up, never shoot. I'm really enjoying this historic run that you are on. Those were our best things. The opposite of our best things is our cream of wheat. Worst thing. What's the worst thing you saw in the last week, Chuck?
Well, the other day, the Pistons were playing the Cavs, and Cedi Osman was on the floor defending a play by Hamidou Diallo. Went to the rim. Cedi got hit in the nose, fell to the ground, and that's when the science fiction entered the chat. There was a fluid leaking from his face that resembled honey in texture and consistency and color. It felt like a moment from a horror movie where you realize one of the characters is actually an embalmed zombie. And it was so like startling. Marvin Bagley, as he was walking away from Cedi Osman, says, that stuff is yellow. What the F? Which was my favorite part of the whole.
That let us know it was not a trick of the camera.
Right. Like
we've seen
I was like,
things broadcast where like the color's off. That's I
a weird
know.
Color.
Yeah. We've seen the NBA referees turn into those weird the Jedi ghosts from Star Wars because of a trick of the camera. You're like, oh, something's screwed up here. But but Marvin Bagley let everyone know that's yellow. Why is that yellow?
You didn't know. So
you back up. You give them space.
You give them some space. So I immediately took screenshots and put it in our group chat on the Slack. If you haven't joined yet, join at patreon.com/Fastbreak Breakfast. The group chat is incredible. It's full of incredible minds. We also have a doctor, shout out Quasimofo, who let us know that it's probably snot. It can't be like spinal fluid because he would probably be dead if it was leaking that much from his head. It's not blood, unless it is embalming fluid, and he is the tall man from Phantasm. Like that's the other option it could be. But there was one shout out Matt Sullivan, who had a great theory that it is urine and his penis is actually his nose. So that was also one of my wonderful takes.
I liked Dr. Quasimofo's also theory, which I think I subscribe to the most. It's possible he had possibly just drank a bunch of Gatorade or something.
Right.
And got hit in a weird way where like it went up his nose or because I've done this where like we see these plays in football a lot where like an offensive lineman vomits. This is the vomit show. And look at that guy, look how tough he is. That guy threw up and then looked at his opponent and then like set a block. It's like that guy vomited because he just drank a quart of Gatorade in 2 seconds.
Right.
It's not like it's all the bile. He drank a bunch of Gatorade and then he just puked it up because he drank it too fast. Maybe Cedi Osman had done some of that. But I love this because you were on this early and then we had our Slack working on it, trying to figure it out. Then this morning, I had a promoted YouTube video with some doctor being like, is Cedi Osman an alien? What is the yellow stuff coming? And it's the same stuff. It's like, it's not spinal fluid because that stuff's clear.
Right. And you would be dead.
And you'd be dead if it was gushing out of your head. There'd be some serious trauma to your skull. I also if it's not like Gatorade, or if it is just snot, or if it's some kind of thing. I also want to say, like, I need to know everything he ate that day, and then the run up, because I gotta say, as a pretty intense candy man myself, not a horror movie character, or someone who just eats weird artificially colored things.
Right.
Every now and then something comes out that's a weird color.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, it's because I ate a bunch of pixie sticks. Like what? Like you're brushing your teeth and it's like it's all red comes out. You're like, oh,
right.
I'm like, oh yeah, I've been eating jujubes. Yeah. So I think, like, what if Cedi Osman was just eating tons of weird candy or something? Right. Gets hit in a weird way. Your mouth and your nasal passages, I've heard before they're connected, and it all comes out that way. But it was disconcerting. It was definitely horror movie type stuff. And MVP is Bagley, letting everyone know this is not a trick of the eyes. It's yellow. It's green.
Tremendous.
My worst thing is I think the Nets are good now. Okay. I was really enjoying them being bad. They're starting to win games. The Jazz special aura has dissipated. I was enjoying them. I mean, they're still playing hard. Close games against solid teams, but they've lost them all. They've lost 5 straight. The Spurs haven't attempted to win in ages. No. Like they just kind of let go of the rope. So I'm a little bummed that some normalcy is regaining, getting a foothold. I liked it when it was bizarre. I liked it when things were weird. Thankfully, the Lakers giving up that buzzer beater lets me know that some things will stay consistent.
I'm looking forward to the Warriors losing 90% of their road games and winning 90%.
Yeah, let's keep that going. Let's keep that going. Even the Warriors won a road game. Sure, it was against the Timberwolves without Jaden McDaniels are one of the worst teams in the NBA. We made fun of them. I made fun of them for hyping up Jaden McDaniels as the key to the Gobert trade, hanging on to him. Maybe they were right. I think he's a far more valuable piece to this team than Gobert. Gobert had a perfect game, statistically, from the field. 7 for 7 from the field, 5 for 5 from the line. Wolves get blown out. Just get hammered. I mean, yes, the huge story is Karl Anthony Towns is hurt. We don't know the severity of the injury. It was a non-contact injury, so we're hoping Cat is okay. But actually, that kind of leads into a listener question. So those were our worst things. After our worst things, before the awards segment of the program, we have our listener submitted questions. The croissant questioner. And okay, so related to Karl Anthony Towns getting hurt, and this question was asked before this Karl Anthony Towns injury. Drew, who is a Timberwolves fan, Drew asks, can you workshop a replacement word for vibes? I'm reading into Drew's question. Everyone talks about bad vibes on the Timberwolves, things not going great. So Chuck, what are some superior words that you think we should use for vibes in a sports context?
I think like what you're trying to like encapsulate is cohesion, right?
Oh, cohesion. Okay.
Cohesion. I think that's a good word, but like, I don't know if it's got like the street like kind of as, because vibes is vibey, it's chill. There's like a level of, I don't know, like ease with it, So I don't know if that works for me, but I think I don't know. I really like vibes. What's wrong with vibes?
We don't have bad vibes. What I mean, because you just say
no, but like, what's wrong with vibes as the like? What's wrong with the word? Like, why can't we keep it?
I don't know. I just think maybe Drew is sensitive to it, having his team described so often as like the vibes aren't right or something. I mean, can you just say, chemistry is something that's used.
Chemistry.
Why can't, isn't culture replaceable here? You can say bad culture, but no, I guess no one wants to assign blame. That sounds like a franchise deep problem.
Right.
I mean, the Timberwolves have not had a particularly awesome run over the past 2 decades.
Mm-hmm.
They were very exciting last year. They traded away their heart and soul, Patrick Beverley, for the bad chemistry, vibes, culture leader, Rudy Gobert.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I don't know if Karl Anthony Towns is easy to play with.
I think we can, whatever. Let's take vibes. Let's elevate it, right? Okay. We'll make it more sexy, more cosmopolitan. Let's say the ambiance. We're talking ambiance here.
The ambiance,
right?
Yeah.
So the ambiance is askew there in Minnesota, and they need some. I don't know if they're gonna.
What about energy?
Energy. That works. Cohesion.
I like cohesion. Well, yeah. What about
But that seems rote. We should.
Vibes feels superior to all these words.
Right. I love ambiance. Because that's kind of what that's what we want to.
What I think we should just reappropriate a word, or just reassign a word that actually doesn't mean this to suddenly mean this. What if we just call it like the what if we call it like the Shakes?
The Shakes?
Although I probably got Shake Milton on the brain. That's where that came from.
You got Shake on the brain.
Well, if also something can vibes from vibration, you vibe and shaking. Maybe that's where I came from. I don't know. It could have come from either way. Who knows how my brain works? I'm trying to think of something. I like the aura. I mean, the aura. I'm going back to that. Attunement. Oh, yeah. Vibes and tunes. What is it? Let's just say the tunes are off. The tunes are off, man.
They're out of tune.
Tune. Let's keep it musical.
Let's keep it musical. They need to tune. They need to tune it
Things
up.
are flat, man. Things are flat with the
flat.
I don't know, man. Yeah, tough break for the Timberwolves.
There's discordant. It's discordant. The concordance is weak.
That was I like some.
I think we got some good
discordance. Yeah, that's good.
Discordance.
Too much atonality in here.
Yes, you can use those music words that I don't know how to use.
Well, it's just let's assign it to like it's just Charles Ivesian in here. Got too many. Our cacophony's off.
Off cacophony. That's what it is.
What's the who's the guy who did Threnody for the victims of the Penderecki? That's an atonal composer for you guys.
Love it.
Everyone Google Threnody for the victims of Hiroshima and play it for a loved one. It'll freak a person out. It'll make animals run away. David Smith, he asks, what would Kawhi Leonard's nose bile look like?
I love it. Well, he's a robot, so probably motor oil.
Yeah.
I'd say that. This makes me feel that, and I'm coming up with another conspiracy here.
Yeah.
Right. So the NBA is in the pocket with ABC and Disney. Disney is well known for not showing blood in their action movies because that will take the rating from a PG-13 to an R if you show blood. So like in Multiverse of Madness, they, instead of killing people, they killed robots, and the robots had blood-looking things that made Wanda look like she was Carrie from the movie Carrie.
Wow. Okay, yeah.
So here's my thing that might have happened. ABC says, hey, that looks like blood. We don't want to mess up our TVMA. We don't want to have a rating change. So they AI changed the blood into yellow liquid, much like they do in Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Now this is a wild speculative idea that I just came up with right now.
And Marvin Bagley's in on it.
And Marvin Bagley's in on it.
Like he protests too much.
Yeah, it was a little loud.
Hey, look, that's yellow.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's got to be some kind of motor oil. Even if it's not a motor oil. It is a black. I think it might either be like the black ooze from The X-Files movie.
Yes.
Maybe like this weird alien life form that moves in a black ooze. It looks like a tar or an oil substance. Maybe it could be the liquid metal of the T-1000.
Yeah.
Or maybe that could flow out of his. I could see him getting hit in the face. I mean, we all remember this was bloodless, but we all remember Westbrook having his skull punched in.
Yes.
And he's just what?
I mean,
dude, your face. There's a concave.
Dented.
A hole in your face. He's like, what do you mean?
And Westbrook did get his face busted open this week by Zach Collins. So that was another thing that happened. So there's a lot of blood. This is a body fluid episode.
Lot of fluid on this episode. Well, thanks for the questions, guys. If you're out there and you want your question to be answered on air, you have to become a Patreon supporter. Do that at patreon.com/Fastbreak Breakfast. You can also join the Slack like we've been talking about. That's $3 a month to join the Slack. Also, we're doing our monthly Zoom hangouts on Wednesday, the last day of November, the last day we can contractually do it. We will be having our Zoom hangout on Wednesday morning. It's November 30th at 9:30 a.m. Central. Turn on some World Cup. Join us. I'll post the link over at patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. We'll be answering your questions there. So if you want some bonus content, you want to join our Slack channel, you want to play in the Pickle Pick'em, by the way, our Pickle Pick'em winner will be announced in a new month of Pickle. Will start on Thursday. So get involved at patreon.com/Fastbreak Breakfast. It is now time for the awards segment of the program, the International Stackhouse of Pancakes Award, given each week to the worst performance in a box score. We have a few honorable mentions. Jordan Poole, 3 for 15. Jordan Clarkson, 3 for 15. Darius Garland, 4 for 19. Keldon Johnson, 6 for 23. And Devin Booker, 8 for 27. We have 3 nominees as they occurred throughout the week. Here they are. Chris Boucher in a loss to the Nets. Much like PJ Tucker has done things we've never seen before, I don't feel like we've ever seen this stat line before. Chris Boucher, 2 for 15. 12 points and 16 rebounds.
Hey, now.
A center going 2 for 15, but still getting 12 points. And then the 16 rebounds. Also a steal, a block, no turnovers, no personal fouls. Maybe try a little harder.
Try.
Yeah. Trey Mann in a loss to the Rockets was 1 for 11. 2 points, 5 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 turnovers, 3 personal fouls. And then Isaac Okoro in a loss to Chris Boucher and the Raptors, was also 1 for 11, had 2 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 turnover, 2 personal fouls. So we have Chris Boucher, 2 for 15, but 12 points, 16 rebounds. Then Trey Mann, 1 for 11, 2 points, 5 boards, 2 steals. Isaac Okoro, 1 for 11, 2 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal. I truly don't know what to do here.
I mean,
2 for 15, usually better than 1 for 11, but 12 points, 16 boards. Yeah. I think that probably graduates him.
That's
and we have to give it to one of the more boring guys. And so I think if we're looking at the 1 for 11s, Eileen Okoro, they both had 2 points and 5 rebounds. Trey Mann, 2 steals, 2 turnovers. Okoro, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 turnover. Those are the same.
They're the same. Can we give them to both? Can we tie it? This is our first ever tie, if that would be the case. We can it can't be a tie? Is it in the bylaws? Can we have a winner? Can it be like the year that Jason Kidd
John did not submit a mail-in ballot this week. And we don't have a tiebreaker. Yeah, let's give it to both.
So we have to.
It's kind of a dull. It's a dull line, and it's
dull. Not a great
episode. Not a good show this week, and
a lot of blood talk.
Trey Mann and Isaac Okoro, congratulations for sharing this week's International Stackhouse of Pancakes Award with your 1 for 11 2-point performances. All right, par fadeaway, Chuck. A lot of stuff still to get to. I feel like.
Yeah.
What things are you looking forward to
Well, I'm going to pay attention to the Dallas Mavericks, who just lost 4 in a row, but I think might have positive things to look at. They are planning to sign Kemba Walker, which is not one of the positive things. It is a sign of desperation.
It is, but you've messed up.
You have really messed up. But I think,
by the way, I need to pause the show and add Kemba Walker in our negative fantasy league where every player is rostered. I think he's still available.
Is he? Yeah, I think, the Mavs had some weird losses against Orlando and Oklahoma. They lost to Houston while Luka was sitting. So I'm not really buying their record. They had a horrible road trip. I mean,
you should buy their record, Chuck. They are not good.
I don't know. They have the 8th best net rating in the league, even with kind of not being able to figure out what they're doing on offense.
They did beat the Grizzlies by 40.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Their yearly destruction of the Grizzlies occurred. But losing against Milwaukee and Boston on the road isn't like a bad thing. Those are 2 great teams. So I think they're going to live up to that net rating. I think they're going to we'll see them play better. And but yeah, I love watching Luka.
They are getting nothing from their wings.
Yes.
They are getting
that has to change.
Tim Hardaway Jr. is doing a PJ Tucker routine.
Yeah.
But he's actually attempting shots. I honestly wonder, has Jason Kidd destroyed Tim Hardaway Jr. the same way he destroyed Larry Sanders?
Did you call Jason Kidd Jason Killed?
I don't know.
You just called him Jason Killed. That's
Jason
incredible.
Kidd. Has Jason Kidd killed Tim Hardaway Jr. the way that he ruined Larry Sanders?
It could be.
Tim Hardaway Jr. is a shell of himself. Can't make anything. Dorian Finney-Smith, he still gives it to you sometimes, but not that frequently. No. Reggie Bullock always starts the year not being able to make anything, but you're getting nothing from Reggie Bullock and Tim Hardaway Jr. and Dorian Finney-Smith. It's like your 3rd best offensive player. I mean, Christian Wood, I guess maybe. I mean, the Spencer Dinwiddie thing. You look at this Mavs team, and you're like, you got to get Luka some help.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at Jalen Brunson. He scored over 30 in 3 straight games for the Knicks. Just let him walk.
Incredible.
You look at Kristaps Porzingis had a career high 41 yesterday, Chuck.
He looks great.
He had 29 in the first half. Man. Is it time to revisit? They traded Kristaps Porzingis for Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans. Davis Bertans is giving you nothing. Everyone's like, oh, Kristaps makes too much. He's not healthy. We can't depend on him. Contract doesn't matter if you're going to trade him for 2 players who equal his salary and one of them doesn't play.
Right.
You're paying Spencer Dinwiddie $35 million because Bertans doesn't play. I mean, I can honestly take a loss on. I mean, years ago we called the Porzingis trade the Tim Hardaway Jr. trade because the Mavs got Tim Hardaway Jr. and he was playing great for him. Yeah. Tim Hardaway Jr. Yes, he's returning from a season-long injury.
Yeah,
he'll round into shape. Reggie Bullock just doesn't make shots in the first couple months. It's one of his fun quirks.
Yeah,
but they would be better, I think, with Jalen Brunson and Kristaps Porzingis.
Or starting
Christian and they got Wood. Nothing. I mean, they turned Jalen Brunson and Kristaps Porzingis into Spencer Dinwiddie, which is it's not a forward move, people. I mean, they have so many bad contracts. It's expensive to pay Jalen Brunson whatever. I don't remember his numbers. He's making $25 million a year. It's expensive to make this. You're paying Dwight Powell and Tim Hardaway Jr. and JaVale McGee. You're paying them the same amount of money as you're paying these other people. I know it's not a 1-to-1. You weren't choosing, you weren't picking exactly who my money's going to go to, but I think the Mavs are not super good. I mean, Luka is incredible.
He is.
They're not going to be this bad but signing Kemba Walker's not going to answer your problems. You knew in the offseason Everyone with the podcast in the offseason said there are 2 players on this team who can dribble.
Yep.
You need players who can dribble, and the Mavs should have known that, and their way to fix that was, while the season is going on, say, like, let's sign Facundo Campazzo. And then while the season is going on, be like, hey, no one wants Kemba Walker.
But we should.
There's 30 teams, and no one's like, Kemba Walker will make our team better. And then at the end of November, you're like, you know what? It is time to try Kemba Walker. Luka's going to be better. Tim Hardaway Jr., Reggie Bullock, Dorian Finney-Smith are not going to be this bad. They're not. The Mavericks are not going to have a losing record this season, but I do not think they are. I don't think they are close to being one of the better teams in the West. I think the Nuggets and the Grizzlies and the Suns are much better. I think the Warriors are much better, even though the Warriors still with like 2 road wins.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how it works out. I'm rooting for Luka. I think he's one of the, best players in the league, and he's doing incredible stuff, but MVP type year, but you ain't going to get MVP if you're 11th in your conference.
Yeah.
So
I want to mention, I'm looking forward to what Ivica Zubac is going to do for an encore.
Wilt Zubac.
Zubac had 31 and 29.
It was so unfair. They fouled him out.
It really was. He's the first
like,
player.
No, we can't. He's too good.
He's the only player in my lifetime to have a game with at least 31 points, 29 rebounds, and 3 blocks.
Unreal.
And I'm old.
Yeah.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the last person to do that. He just destroyed the Clippers.
Miles Turner.
He's another guy who, he destroyed the Pacers.
Yeah.
He's also another, like, the Lakers traded him for Mike Muscala. They traded Michael Beasley and Zubac for Mike Muscala.
Unreal.
Might want to have another one of those back. I'll also look forward to the Milwaukee Bucks have been good this year, but I just noticed this quirk. They've only played 6 road games. The Bucks have played 13 home games and 6 road games. So
that's weird.
Maybe that'll
even out.
Yeah, they'll even out just a little bit going forward. Also, I'm looking forward to this U.S. versus Iran soccer game in a little bit. World Cup crossover. Chuck, you have World Cup plans? What are you doing?
Yeah, man, I'm watching it. I'm going to
the stadium.
Mariachi.
Oh, wow. That sounds like an amazing choice that you've made.
Yeah, we have this amazing place in Nashville. It's called Plaza Mariachi. It's an old Kroger that is now turned into like a food hall with all sorts of different Central and South American food stands. They have live music and all sorts of cool stuff, little stores that are small businesses run by Latino people. So I'm a huge fan of Plaza Mariachi, and we're going to go watch soccer there at 1:00.
That sounds great. Well, anyways, if you're in the Memphis area, do not miss Lizzo coming to the FedEx Forum with special guest Latto, Latto. Lotto, excuse me.
Lotto. Big
Wednesday.
Lotto.
That concert is Wednesday, April 26th. Tickets for the special tour are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com or at the FedEx Forum box office. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, please. If you want to support the show, you can do that at patreon.com/Fastbreak Breakfast. Don't miss the Patreon Zoom hangout on Wednesday morning at 9:30 a.m. Central. You guys are the best. Thanks for listening. And remember, breakfast is the most important thing.